Bahrain has the oldest and most established financial sectors in the region. The country is ranked 16th freest economy in the world and the freest in the GCC, according to a recent index of economic freedom published by the Heritage Foundation and the Wall Street Journal. In the first quarter of next year, the kingdom will have a brand new exchange, which will be licensed and regulated by the Central Bank of Bahrain to trade multi-assets, including equities, bonds, commodities, currencies, derivatives and Sharia-compliant Islamic financial instruments. Well, to tell us more, we have ArshadKhan, who is Director of Bahrain Financial Exchange, on the line. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. How did you personally come to the Bahrain Financial Exchange?
We came to Middle East around 5 years back when we signed a joint venture agreement with the government of Dubai to set up Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, and we have successfully implemented this exchange, and it's running for last 4 years very successfully. So after that we have approached the government of Bahrain to set up a financial exchange there, and after our presentation to them and meeting with them, they have shown interest, and we have announced this exchange last year in January 2009, and that's how we are now in the process of setting up Bahrain Financial Exchange in Bahrain.
As I mentioned, Bahrain has a well-known history of banking and finance. Why is it taking so long to have its own international exchange?
The idea is that Bahrain has been in the news always for their very strong banking sector, and I can't say why it has taken for them to for some time to come out with an international financial exchange. But yes, we have been talking to them for past 1 year, and now we have decided that we will set up this exchange. I think it's a good time to come out with an international financial exchange in Bahrain at this stage.
And what way will this affect the original Bahrain Stock Exchange, which began back in 1989?
What we are looking for is a kind of a complementary approach towards each other, so that the business can be grown much better, and it can result into a much better value proposition for the investors, whether they're the investors on Bahrain Financial Exchange or Bahrain Stock Exchange. So we are working quite with an approach that we will be working jointly with them.
What asset classes specifically are available on the exchange?
BFX will be a very unique exchange in this region as well as internationally, because what we have planned for and what we have been given approval by the regulatory authority in Bahrain is to launch multi-asset trading. So we are looking at a vertical of 4 different asset classes. The first is, of course, equities, where issuers of corporates or any other investment house can come and do a listing on our exchange. Then second thing we are looking at very actively is the Islamic finance products. So we have been talking to several banks in this region, and everybody has shown a lot of interest of trading on an Islamic capital market. So that's going to be another asset class under BFX. Third thing, of course, we are looking at commodities and currencies contracts, futures market basically to start with. And the fourth one is the derivatives, financial derivatives, pure financial derivatives, things like stock futures or an index futures, and other structured products like exchange traded funds or REITs. These are some things that we are looking at to start with when we start trading in Q1 of 2010.
Who's the exchange regulated by?
It's Central Bank of Bahrain which is regulating the exchange. If you know, Bahrain has a single regulatory regime in terms of there is a single regulatory authority which regulates all different financial industries, whether it's insurance or banking or capital markets. It's all regulated by Central Bank of Bahrain.
And what makes Bahrain attractive for doing business in this present economical climate?
The one thing that Bahrain has enjoyed has been a long history into the banking and finance markets, and also there is another thing that Bahrain has been recognized for is a very well-developed and very matured regulatory framework which has been governing the financial markets in the last couple of years, whether they are banking and insurance. Bahrain has always been getting an acknowledgement from the industry or from the marketplace that they have a very good regulatory framework setup. So using that regulatory framework setup, business can be much better driven in the current economic situation, where people have realized that having a well-developed regulatory framework is an essential thing in the current financial markets, so that we can come out of the current economic situation in a much better way and in a much faster turnaround time.
In your experience, are some exchanges better than others? And what sets those apart, do you think?
In my opinion, every exchange has its own unique thing that they establish themselves on, whether it's an exchange in this region or it's an exchange internationally. Every exchange has its own different criteria on which they set up their business. If we talk about the regional exchanges, first of all, we have to understand that the capital markets in this region have been of a very recent origin in comparison to the international players like in US or Europe. Those people have been in business for almost more than 100 years now, but the capital markets or the stock markets in this region have just originated in the last 10 years.
All right, well, Arshad Khan, Director of the BFX, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you, Greg. It was nice talking to you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Inside Business. You can contact the programme by writing to ib@city7tv.com. Also follow what's happening on the programme via Twitter. It's @inside_business. For now, from all of us on the team, goodbye and have a great weekend.